So you were all at the Nova Festival and you each had your own unique experience. I don't know if the word is unique or what the word is, but you each had a different experience, yet I'm sure the same experience as well in many ways. So would you like to share with us a little bit about your experience?
Sure. For me, it was my first music festival, so that's my baseline for how it should go. I don't think that's a very good baseline. I was there with a bunch of my friends, my cousin, and mutual friends. There's eight of us total, and up until 6:30, it was amazing. It was like the most fun I've ever had, and I actually met Dor at the festival. I met him. I was walking around with my camera, taking photos and meeting people, making new friends, and I saw
You're a
him.
photographer. Yeah.
Yes. And so I saw him with his big fuzzy white coat, and I think to myself, wow, this guy looks stylish. There's no doubt he won't want to be my friend. And I tapped on his shoulder and I introduced myself, and we spoke for like 10 or 15 minutes, and I snapped his photo, and we've known each other ever since. And from that point on, I'm walking around throughout the night, on and off, taking photos up until 6 a.m. I'm looking for my friend on a FaceTime call, and the rockets begin, and we find each other, and we head back to our camp, and all of our friends are there, and they had just taken acid, and there's chaos all around. People are leaving, and people are still smiling and dancing and having fun, and there's a lot of confusion and anxiousness around, and nobody's really sure what the right choice is to do. Do you stay? Do you hide? Do you leave? Do you wait? Is the party going to continue? Is it over? Do you want to wait for the traffic? Do you want to get ahead of the traffic? Do you leave your stuff behind? Who's driving? Everyone's high, everyone's tired, everyone's scared. It's absolute chaos. And you know eventually we make it to the parking lot after packing our stuff, and I spend another half hour walking around taking photos. We don't actually get to our car in the parking lot until about 7:30, 7:45, around there, over an hour after the rockets began. And we're deciding who's going to drive, and we're loading our stuff in the car. Five of us and our other three friends are at their own car. And then that's when we hear Hamas show up around 7:50, 7:55, around there, just before 8. We don't see them, but we hear them. We hear all the gunfire and all the screaming and everything that comes after. And I climb in the driver's seat, and my cousin in the passenger seat, and the girls in the back, and we start flying down the driveway, the exit to the festival ground, and swerving around cars, honking my horn, hitting my brakes. Whenever there's a car in front of me that's not moving, or not moving fast enough to my liking, I just go around them because I don't want to wait for anybody. And then we make it to the very end of the entrance. We see all the cars, all the traffic, everybody trying to get out, front, back, left, right. Everyone's trying to get out at the same time. Like when you leave a concert or a sporting event, it's hard. It's even harder when you're being shot at. And I see all these cars, and I think to myself, and I tell my cousin, like, I'm not waiting for these people. I don't know them. I don't care about them. They're not my problem. I just want to. My focus right now is on the five of us in this car right now. We decided I'm driving, so that's all I care about. And so I just drive past everybody. I go around off the road in a little four-door sedan, like a little Mitsubishi, tiny car. And I'm driving off the road around everything, and I push my way to the very front, and I see the main road, and we're stuck behind two cars, and one of the people are honking their horn, and they're panicking, and they're moving around, and I can see it. And I'm looking around, and I see in some of the other cars, some of them are empty and abandoned, and they're off. And I'm looking around, I'm seeing the car in front of the guys who are in front of us, two cars ahead of us, empty, not on. And I tell my cousin, like, Mordecai, please, like, tell these guys the car ahead of them is empty and it's not on, and we're stuck, and these guys are so panicked they're waiting for nothing. And he gets out, knocks on the window, and tells them what's up, because I don't speak Hebrew. I can't do this.
Right. Wow.
And so they drive around, they pass this car, and they go down the main road, and they go who knows where. And we make it to the main road, and we see the police to our left saying, no, don't go here. So we don't go there. I don't realize the police are there, because further up that road, which is north towards Kibbutz Be'eri and Kfar Aza, is Hamas on the road and in the kibbutz, burning people alive in their homes, blowing them up in their cars, raping them in the streets, brutalizing them in any way they can imagine. But I don't know that. I just see police and the security saying you can't go here, so I don't. And then to the right, down the road, 232, I see traffic building up slowly, and people are turning around or going and doing what they can, and I see traffic. I think, no, thank you. We just left traffic. I'm not interested. I don't realize the traffic is because Hamas is waiting for people down that way, shooting them in their cars, blowing them up, burning them alive. I just see traffic, and I think I'm not interested in that. And so I drive us straight ahead into this empty field. And when I say empty, I mean it's like beige. There's rocks, and that's it. There's a field, forest to the left, forest ahead of it, and a little cliff, and then other fields off to the side. And I drive us into this field, and then maybe 25, 30 meters after we're driving, my cousin's girlfriend, she's screaming for us to get out of the car. Shye, Mordecai, Elliot, every bloody murder, screaming for us to get out of the car and run because we're being shot at. Not us specifically. There's not one guy like shooting our car, but everybody, us, everyone next to us, in front of us, behind us, in a car, out of the car, doesn't matter. We're all being fired upon. And so we flee the car, thinking maybe it's better to everybody be scattered about than boxed together. So we all run out of the car into this empty field with no cover. And my friend Ellie and myself are in the field, and we're running. And then after a while, I say, like, let's get down. And we get down low to the ground, and I'm holding onto her by both shoulders, like squeezing the life out of her. And my back is to the festival ground. And I look behind us, and I see my cousin's girlfriend, and Tamara and Yael, doing the same thing, down low, holding onto each other. And I'm hearing all this gunfire and all this screaming into the chaos. And I look back, and I see my cousin, and I see the back of his head as he runs back to the car, gets in the car, comes back to us, picks us up, and now he's driving, and I'm in the passenger seat. And from that point on, I just get my phone out and my camera back out. There's nothing else for me to do except help navigate, take photos and videos. And God forbid we die, there's proof. And we're driving around this field, aimlessly looking for a way out. People are getting out of their cars and running into the woods. They're getting out of their cars and standing on top of them looking for a way to go. There's a pickup truck flying across the field, so many people inside of it. They're hanging off the back, hanging off the side. There's so much dust in the air, you can't see, you can't breathe. Our breathing is so panicked, it's so hot in the car, we're opening and closing the windows, suffocating from the heat, suffocating from the dust, not knowing which's worse. No radio, no unnecessary talking, just everybody is either silent or trying to figure out what's going on and where to go. Nobody's like just screaming for nothing. We're all like, where do we go? What's going on? The whole time. And we're driving eventually through an orange field, making our way east towards the sun. And that's when I learned we're near Gaza in the first place. I didn't come to this festival knowing where it was. I just moved to Israel.
From where?
I moved to Israel from Canada, from Toronto. We arrived at the festival at 2 a.m. My first thought going there isn't to open Google Maps and say, okay, where's Gaza? So only at that point did I learn where it was. I asked my cousin, like, where's the nearest border they'd be coming from? And he asked me, where's east? East is towards the sun this way. Why? And he says, oh, because west is Gaza. And then at that point, I learned how close it is. And then the wheels start turning. And we're driving through these fields, east towards the sun, through these back roads, towards Netivot, towards Sderot. And now, after we're well away from the festival area, now we're seeing, like, carnage. Because before, me and my cousin, we didn't see people dying or anything like that. But now we're seeing bodies in their cars, around their cars, crashed cars, abandoned cars, cars riddled with bullets, rockets overhead, checkpoints put in place as response to what's going on to prevent Hamas from moving further into the country. And we're driving down the highway and we're seeing more cars, bodies in them, bodies around them, IDF here, IDF there. And eventually we see this one silver car on the side of the road and there's two figures next to it. We think maybe it's IDF. And we're getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And we see it's not IDF. They're wearing blue jeans and cargo pants, black t-shirts, black balaclavas, holding machine guns. One with a tactical vest, the other without. And in the car next to them, doors are open, blood on the ground, broken glass on the ground, front two seats, driver in the passenger seat, and a man and a woman in their seats shot dead. And we see this, and we all scream at my cousin, drive, 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 sa, 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 freaking out at my cousin. Because, like, these dudes are not IDF. One of them, his hands are the color red with blood. The other one raises his gun towards us. And my cousin slows down from, like, 120 to 90, because he's probably comprehending what he's seeing. And then we all realize, he continues going. He doesn't stop. He flies by these guys, and nothing happens. They don't shoot us. And we're driving by bodies. There are bodies next to them, bodies behind them, bodies ahead of them. Driving down the road, we're driving around three bodies that are in the middle of the road. We still run over the last body, trying to avoid them.
So Hashem really saved you in that moment, but for some reason.
I don't know about that. I think it's a million reasons, And we got home to my cousin's apartment in Neve Sha'anan in Tel Aviv at 9:45 in the morning. So fast. Many other people are still living through this nightmare. And our other friends, we didn't know where they were. Our friends, Barak, Almog, and Doraz, were hiding in the woods for 6.5 hours before they were rescued by the Golani Brigade.
Why do you think that he didn't shoot you?
A million reasons, you know? No ammo, jammed gun, didn't know who we were because we were all staying low in our seats, couldn't see well. Maybe he knew there was IDF nearby. I don't know. A million reasons. We didn't stop and ask.
Bottom line is you're here today. You were saved.
Yeah.
What compelled you to move to Israel from Toronto?
Impulse.
Oh, really?
I got my tax return and I said to myself, wow, this is a lot of money. Because going to Israel from North America is expensive. It's not cheap. Mm-hmm. And from Canada, it's about $1,500 for a round trip ticket. So I figured, I'll go to Israel for a month. End of April to end of May. That's enough time for my family to get sick of me because I hadn't seen them in many years. And I go there, and about 2 weeks in, I decide I'm not going to go home. So I cancel my return ticket. I don't tell anybody except my mom and my brother. And I've been in Israel ever since.
And are you going to go back?
Oh, for sure. I think it'd be weird if I decided to leave after my first terrorist attack.
Well, it wouldn't be weird. I feel like it would be understandable, but that you want to stay in Israel is very courageous after having gone through what you went through.
I think I'd feel worse if I left now than if this didn't happen and I decided to leave.
Do you have a new mission that you now, aside from obviously now spreading this important message, what's your life in Israel going to look like now after October 7th?
It's totally different. I think all of our lives, myself or Dor, everybody else who was at Nova Festival, everybody who's in the kibbutz, even people who weren't directly impacted, all of our lives are different. Whether it's for better or worse is, I guess, we'll only know in time. But, from tragedy comes a lot of good.
Yeah. See, when you find yourself in chaos, sometimes in chaos you find yourself. It's the unfortunate truth is that, no one should have to go through such horrors. It's often what happens after. Are you still taking pictures?
Yeah. After the Nova Festival, I printed all my film photos and I found everybody. Made sure I wanted to know if people were alive. I was afraid Dor and everybody else. I was afraid they were dead. I didn't want 3 rolls of film and photos of people I'd never see again. These are people I met with and I connected with and people I enjoyed speaking with and I wanted to see them again. I wanted to be friends with them. And I was really worried for their well-being. I texted Dor that day after we got back. I was like, are you okay? Please let me know. Every single day I'm checking on the guy. Wanted to make sure. Everybody. And of all the people I photographed at the festival, everybody except 2 survived. The 2 who that were killed were a man named Ron Schaefer, who was an older man who lived in kibbutz Be'eri with his ex-wife and his 3 daughters, who, thank God, were not in kibbutz Be'eri when everything happened. He decided last minute to come to the festival instead of joining them for a Shabbat dinner, and I think it was Ashkelon or Ashdod. So they were there when everything happened, and he was at the Nova Festival by himself, and unfortunately he was murdered in the bar area hiding. And the other who was murdered was a man named Dor Avitan, who's my age, and he was from Eilat, and he was killed in the parking lot hiding under his car. And so I printed their photos and I framed them and I gave them to their families because,
It must have brought a lot of comfort to their families, seeing
for sure. It's the least that I could do because I feel like I have something that isn't mine to have. I literally have these 2 men's last moments of happiness captured in the photograph, and I feel like it's something that deserves to have been belonging to their family, their wives, their girlfriends, their moms, their dads, their brothers, their sisters, their daughters, whoever. I'm just some stranger who spoke to them for 30 minutes.
How is it for you now being a photographer? Like when you take a picture now, is it all very different to how you the process was before?
The perspective is different. It's more like I'm capturing my reality. Because I had taking photos. My first music festival, so it's like, let's be fun. A first time of people I love and care about and new friends, and I wanted to remember it. That's why I used film. It's like a physical, tangible thing you can hold and touch and look at, and you're actually physically capturing that light and memorializing it in a physical object. And so after the fact, I started photographing everybody again after the fact, smiling and doing well, if they are. Many people are not, but I definitely believe everybody's doing their best.
And how are you doing?
My best.
And how do you heal?
Doing this is definitely a healing and lots of therapy. I did therapy before, but I've done more now. I've done everything: EMDR, hyperbaric chamber therapy.
We actually interviewed the top doctor in Israel right now who's doing EMDR.
Yeah.
I know, talk therapy and psychedelic therapy. I did therapy on mushrooms and MDMA, and mushrooms and MDMA together, and I want to take care of myself, because if I don't, how am I going to share my story if I'm crying and I'm inconsolable the whole time?
Right, right. Well, here you are. Thank you.
All three of you have this so much strength in making these decisions in a very chaotic moment. Like every one of you shared something, like you heard all this screaming around you, but you were very focused in a very scary, chaotic moment. What do you think that was?
You have to make a decision or you're going to die. There's no time to think. It's on October 7th. Right now, what we're doing now, we're seeing, we're hearing, or we're absorbing, and everything is a conscious choice. But on October 7th, it's just do. It's your body moves and you're a passenger within yourself. You're watching it all happen through a window. Like Dor said, time doesn't matter. Everything that we shared with you, it's all happening simultaneously. Their whole experience is the whole day. I was back home at 9:45, but everything felt like it took hours and hours and hours and hours. It didn't feel like only 3 hours passed. The rocket attack started at 6:30. We were home at 9:45. That's less than 4 hours. But in that time, it felt like 12 hours had passed by. The time from when we entered the field to when we were on foot, to when we were out of the fields altogether, felt like 4 hours. Every 15-minute stretch of road felt like an hour. Time didn't exist.
And what does time look like for you now that you had that experience?
It's definitely more valuable. I'm not wasting time second-guessing myself as much. I'm definitely more committed to things that I want to do and things that I want to say. It's less, if I say this, it's a bad idea. They're going to think this of me. It's just like, so what? What happens, happens. You could die tomorrow, having the time of your life. So, why worry?
How do you stay hopeful? What gives you hope for the future?
The people I have around me, the people I care about and that I love, I see them and, it gives me hope. I see them doing what they're doing, living their lives and remaining strong. It's not just us, it's everybody back home. And that gives me hope.
Hope for humanity.
Okay.
For the resilience of everybody today.